So past me left me with a really big problem. I built up this enormous mountain, which I think looks great and serves its purpose of just being tall and imposing, but it's completely lifeless. There's just an empty platform in the middle of the whole thing. The trees look like they've given up on life, and the whole mountain is just 50 shades of gray. Now, I already spent the past few months planning out an entire city to chuck on top of this thing, but as to not burn out, I've got to tackle this project one step at a time. First, with solving the issue of all of this empty space. And if you notice those Chinese characters on the side of my mountain, those spell out Swabian Temple. Hopefully I wrote it correctly. Anyways, you'll probably notice very much a lack of a Swabian Temple. There's just a beacon here. But before I can get to building anything, I'll need to gather a whole list of materials. Apparently, when I was building my mountain, I completely forgot I was playing in a survival multiplayer server because I mined over 50,000 blocks for this thing, and I could have just headed over to the shopping district the entire time. So now, I'm actually the proud owner of my very own shop. Originally, it was owned by a previous member of the server, but I ended up renovating it, and here we are. This is the store I own, Random Play. There is just a homeless encampment on the side, but let's not worry about that. If we go inside, the store has actually been doing pretty well. So I have a lot of funds for materials already, but there's actually a secret trick you can do in Minecraft to pretty much double the amount of diamonds you own. So let me just show you guys how. Whenever you're playing roulette, always bet on black. Big money, big money, big money. Come on. Hit black. Don't make me lose my life savings. So I still have a lot more blocks to farm, but thanks to that little shopping spree, I've gotten most of the basic materials out of the way. So I think I could get started on just building this little section of my base here. I first wanted to get started on laying out the foundation for the walkways, buildings, and main temple area. Not just so I remember where all the buildings will be going, but for you guys to visualize the scale of what I want to make for this part of the mountain. Here, I'm working on redoing this section of the mountain, and that's because most of this mountain is actually pretty simple. It's just so large that the little details in the terrain don't really matter, but since we're at the top of the mountain now, and this is where most people will be spending their time anyways, I just want to fix up the terrain a bit just so that it looks nicer and you're able to notice a lot more details up close. I also decided to add bits of grass and dirt to help muddy up all the gray stone, which just adds some color and interest within all these rocks. Now, with all the foundation out of the way, the first thing I actually want to build is this statue. Though it's small, it'll probably be my favorite part of this place for a while. This build represents the first event I participated in when joining the Nodenium SMP. I was lucky enough to participate in the server's 6-hour life series event, and if you're unfamiliar with what a Minecraft life series is or how it works, essentially it's a survival event where you start off as a green life, someone who is passive and only wants peace. Once you die for the first time, you become a yellow life, someone who's still pretty passive but is allowed to kill people who are green lives. After losing your yellow life, you become a red life. People who are red can pretty much just kill whoever they want. I really enjoyed this event, and it was a great way for me, being a new member of the server at the time, to just meet everyone and engage with everyone. But if you guys are interested in watching my edited POV of the event, feel free to check out the video's link in the description. The next part of the base I want to build is this apartment building located right over here. You're probably thinking, apartment building? Isn't this supposed to be a temple build where monks are training on the sacred mountaintops, you know? It's even got the word Sui-Bian Temple plastered on the side of the mountain. Well, not exactly. The temple is just one part of my base. A big part, but it's still only one piece of the greater whole of my mega base. What I'm actually planning to build is something I've been planning since joining Nodenium, almost 3 months now. It's also why it's taken forever to get this video out, so let me just show you guys what I'm planning real quick. Again, there's still a lot of work to be done since this is just me blocking out a rough idea of where buildings are gonna go, but I'm planning to build an urban Chinese mountain settlement inspired by Failume Heights, a location found in the game Zenless Zone 0. It's a coastal city initially starting as a small residential town with a nice quaint temple, but quickly evolving into a large city thanks to it being a major mining and harbor trading hub. So here I've got this small apartment building just to kind of show y'all the idea of how I'll be transitioning from the temple to the large city area of this base. If you've ever seen old Chinese urban neighborhoods, places like Chongqing's hillside districts or Hong Kong's Tonglao, you'll know this exact look. These buildings tend to feel alive. They grow vertically and organically over time. It's an iconic vibe shaped by the generations of people who live there, which really makes the city feel alive. With the mismatched colors and stacked layers, I tried to keep in mind how the apartment could have naturally evolved over the years. As for the technical side of things, for building this, you'll notice whenever coloring the walls near the underside of ledges, I'm always using a darker shade of the wall just to mimic the shadow those ledges would cast. I'm also using a lot of stained glass for this build just to help ease the shape of these diagonals, as well as to add shadow in areas not touched by sunlight. A big thing I want to add in the future are custom posters and billboards scattered all over these building walls, just to give the build even more life. And real quick, this little section of the build right here, these are kind of like storage lockers where people who live in the apartment can just store stuff. Again, this apartment is just the first step in bridging the temple area with the upcoming city part of my base. And if a single apartment building looks this chaotic, imagine what the entire city is going to look like. Another big problem I want to tackle in terms of just the lore of this place is how exactly do the people living on this mountain get to and from it? And then I thought, what about cable cars? Now, this wasn't a random choice. It's definitely inspired by something really common in Chinese mountain cities. Again, places like Chongqing relying on cable cars and hillside elevators just because the terrain is just too steep. Cable cars end up like not just being tourist attractions, but viable modes of transportation, especially when you're living like this high up, right? So first, I wanted to build this elevator by repurposing an old cable car, since again, this is like an old mountain settlement. So I think in my head, they converted this cable car into this vertical lift shaft just to make it easier to go down to and from the harbor to collect imports and exports. Obviously, it just goes to the void right now, but hopefully if I built out a harbor down here, I can connect them all together with this elevator. A cool trick I see builders do is color their buildings with light in mind. You'll notice I used lighter blocks closer to these lamps, like light sources, just to make it feel as though the wall is really being illuminated by these lamps. It's subtle, but light does tend to cause some wear and tear on buildings as well, and I think I captured it pretty well here. And besides the cable car elevator, I actually do have an actual cable car line, and I'm planning on having it go down all the way to that lower island way in the distance, but I'll probably tackle that in another episode. So I have some unfortunate news, mostly for myself, not so unfortunate for you guys, but the shopping district is still not enough for the amount of materials I'm gonna need. Let me just show you a long list of items that I'm gonna need for this temple build. Well, it's no point sitting around and crying about it. It's time for a grind montage. It's been 2 days of straight grinding materials for this build, and I am finally done. I think I started this project at around 4,000 minutes or so, and now I'm at like at least around 6,000. I am so in need of some inner peace right now because I think I lost my mind trying to farm this entire list of materials. Honestly, if you made it this far into the video already, feel free to just leave a comment and subscribe. I loved hearing what y'all had to say in the last video, and it really makes all the effort I put into these videos worth it. So with that out of the way, let's get to building. Alright, welcome to Sui Bien Temple. At the entrance, we got these little guards just sitting here. Might as well get some mileage out of the new copper golems. And to the left, I noticed this spot on the mountain being really empty and decided to just cover it up with this cool shrine design here. Now, a big inspiration for this temple was the Lohan Temple in Chongqing. What fascinated me about this place was this one image of the Lohan Temple just completely surrounded by skyscrapers. In spite of everything surrounding the temple growing and evolving, it still remained the same. Hopefully, once I get more city buildings into this place, it'll really feel as though this temple kind of just stood the test of time. So when you step in, the temple opens up to this courtyard framed by these two buildings on the side, and in the middle, a large incense burner. These are usually always positioned at the entrance of a temple, serving as the first ritual stop. I added some candles within the burner to kind of mimic the little red incense sticks you'd see inside of these things, and as an added bonus, it helps slow down the campfire smoke and creates almost a layer of ash underneath the incense sticks. All right, here is the main highlight of the temple, the main worship hall. The building is 2-layered and probably has the most dramatic roof out of all the buildings here, which kind of serves to symbolize its status as the main place to worship at the temple. My favorite part of this build is how I did the windows. Usually the windows have very intricate designs, too small for me to really capture in Minecraft, but these windows here, using the empty space created by putting banners side by side and the wooden lines found behind banners, helps to kind of mimic those thin window lines, you know, those thin like Asian window details. Moving on to these buildings to the side, these usually represent the monks' living quarters, training yards, study halls, etc. Basically the functional part of the temple where tourists aren't allowed in. When I first built this place, I thought the yard felt a bit empty, so I added this tree here near the entrance, and hanging from the tree are a ton of orange, red, and yellow candles just to mimic paper cranes. And these red banners and the mangrove are supposed to represent wishing ribbons and rope. People would usually tie red ribbons onto wishing trees to make a prayer for things like good health, good fortune, even success in exams, and the tree ends up acting as a spiritual messenger, tying a wish to it. It anchors your wish to the world, and when the wind blows, it carries your wish upwards. When I learned about this practice, I thought it was really cool, so might as well just add it into the build as well. Over here, I just added a place where people can park their vehicles, mainly just bikes, motorcycles. I also scattered a bunch of boxes and things around the temple just to make it feel lived in and busy. Here, I just added a little fortune cart where you can kind of just shake this little box with dice, and then you'll see what, like, depending on how the dice have landed, you'll get a fortune. It's just a little cute tradition they have at temples. Now, we're not finished yet. There's just a few final touches I need to do before finishing the build, and that's just to add some things to really make this place feel alive. First, some trees. Nothing says a place is more alive than just very much alive trees scattered around. I built these palm trees here since this mountain is still along the coast, so having some coastal trees makes sense. This city needs some infrastructure if they want to turn the lights on, so I added some electrical poles scattered around with chains acting as electrical wire to connect them all. A few lamps here and there, and finally this gate. I wanted to try out the new shelf blocks, and I think they really fit in perfectly with this build. It kind of serves as a boundary between the temple and the start of the city, where right before entering the urban district, you'll need to pass through these gates. I like to think of it as a way of just cleansing you spiritually, especially with the red color, usually used to symbolize warding off bad energy. But before you guys go, I want to leave y'all with just a quick question and the original title for the video. What do you think makes a Minecraft build feel alive? For me, it's intention, when every shape, color, every odd angle and detail exists for a reason. In the end, I want to have a base where I could just take off my elytra and feel fully immersed walking through a urban Chinese city. That just means there's still a lot of work to be done, so I really appreciate you guys sticking to the end. And since you made it this far, again, why not leave a like, comment, and subscribe? Those are the 3 things you're supposed to do. But yeah, I'm really excited to continue working on this project, and I hope you guys are just as excited to follow me on this journey.